Hey everybody, Kevyn here. You can find me on Instagram at Move with Kevyn. Today we are going to work on our shoulders a little bit. We kind of did spine and hips last time, so we're going to come up to our shoulders for a little bit of a longer shoulder recovery. For this particular session, I'm once again going to suggest you have either a yoga strap or perhaps a belt or even a rolled up towel will work. So anything you have around the house that will give you some resistance is going to be a great option. On top of that, a yoga block is also recommended. If you don't have a yoga block, this works great with even just a water bottle, something just to give you something to press on. Even like a book would work for this. Just to give you something to press against is what we're going to use it for. So something of that sort. Typically before this session, I would have you use some sort of recovery tool. I typically use yoga tune-up balls to roll out your shoulders and upper back. I'm not including that in this because I don't know that you have those recovery tools. So we're just going to stick with the movements today. If you do have those tools, roll out your shoulders and upper back prior to this movement session. We are going to begin this session with a warm-up. Warm-up's going to be just some proprioception of the shoulders themselves. If you have a mirror you can do this in front of after this video, highly suggest that. It'll help you get a sense of if you're actually doing the movement correctly, as I'm not there to look at you and be super picky. So a mirror can be your friend at this point in time. But we are going to start with some simple shoulder circles. Taking that arm out in front of you. This movement is coming from the shoulder blade itself. You're going to lift that shoulder blade up to the ear. You'll notice that my arm follows it. Then you're going to push that shoulder blade back towards the wall behind you into retraction. And then you're going to drop that shoulder blade down into depression and retraction. It's still back, it's still down, and then I'm going to keep it down, but press it forward into protraction and depression. And then I'm going to lift it up. Now I'm forward and up. And then I'm just going to continue with these circles, going for about 3 to 5, trying to get a sense for how my shoulder blade is moving around my ribs. You'll notice that my elbow is staying straight and my arm is attempting to stay in line with my shoulder blade. Now we're going to reverse the direction, going down and forward, back and down, up and back, and then up and forward. I suggest taking these really slow to begin with. Feel out your shoulder. Notice which parts of this are really hard for you and kind of explore those parts. For me, that back and down is a little bit iffy. So I will take this in and out of that back and down just a couple times on this side to give my body a better sense of where that position is. And then I'll bring it through the rest of it. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides, taking the opposite arm up. Once again, this part of it is just your guide. It's the shoulder blade itself that's going to do the movement here. The easiest I find is to take it straight up, so go ahead and take it straight up. Feel that upper trap turn on. From here, you're going to push it backwards. From here, you're going to push it down, so now it's back and down, retracted and depressed. From here, you're going to bring it forward, rolling into protraction while still keeping it down, and then you're going to lift it up, coming into elevation and protraction. From here, you're going to keep it up and push it back, retract it. From here, you're going to push it down, but keep it back. And then you're going to bring it forward. Once again, trying to get a sense for how that shoulder blade is moving around the rib cage. My arm is just going along for the ride here. And then we're going to reverse it, taking it back and down, taking it up and back, bringing it up and forward, and then bringing it down and forward. Going through this direction about 3 to 5 times. Once again, noticing where it's a little shaky for you. For me, this back range, this retraction, elevation, and depression is a little shaky, a little hard for my body at this point in time. So I'm going to take it up and down a couple times while retracted, trying to get a better sense of where that movement is for my body. And then I'm going to complete that round. And we will let that go, shake that out for a moment. Now we're going to come into a little bit of the opposite. So we're going to try to keep that shoulder blade very still and let the upper arm bone, the humerus, move within its ball and socket joint. I'm gonna have you do this from a relatively simple position, given simple is relative here, but we're gonna have the arm just straight out to the side. I like to take my hand across my chest, especially if I don't have a mirror in front of me, to try to feel whether or not that shoulder blade is moving. But it's just gonna be generally small circles, trying to get a sense for how that ball is moving within the socket, how that upper arm bone is moving within its joint. Can I keep my shoulder blades still while at the same time moving the humerus within its joint? Taking about 5 or 6 rotations here, and then we'll reverse it, going the opposite direction. You might find one direction is slightly harder than the other. And once again, a mirror is your friend here. If you cannot sense whether or not that shoulder blade is moving or not, a mirror can be your best friend. And then we're going to switch sides, taking it over to the opposite side. Once again, I like to have my hand across my chest to make sure that my shoulder blade is staying in position. And then I'm just going to bring it into circles. This is a great time to point out that if you find a certain range of motion, like say perhaps having that arm overhead is a hard place for you to be, trying to find these circles overhead is a great way to get a better sense of that overhead position. We're doing them down low at this point in time just to keep it nice and simple for you. Once again, completing 5 to 7 one way, and then 5 to 7 the opposite way, and we'll be all done with that. All right, now we're gonna come into a tabletop position for some scap push-ups. I know we might do these a lot in the gym, but these are gonna be slightly modified. So do them how I'm suggesting just for the recovery class here, and you can go on and do them in your gym however you like. But for now, we're gonna do them my way, which is gonna be from a tabletop position, hands beneath shoulders, knees beneath hips. I like to curl my toes under just to get that extra stretch on my feet, a little added bonus there. Hands beneath shoulders, knees beneath hips. Keep in mind this is not cat-cow, so my spine is going to stay very still. I'm trying to keep a nice braced core here as I squeeze my shoulder blades together, come into that retraction, and then push my shoulder blades away, come into that protraction. Attempting once again to feel the shoulder blades sliding around the rib cage. My elbows stay nice and straight. The movement is coming from the shoulder blades themselves, not from the spine or the arms. Once again, we'll take about 5 to 7 of these. Take them slow, really get a sense for that protraction and retraction. Last one, we'll come into neutral, somewhere in between protraction and retraction, and now we're going to elevate and depress. So in this position, you're going to pull your shoulder blades up towards your ears, and then squeeze them down. Pull them straight up, squeeze them straight down. Pull them straight up, squeeze them straight down. Trying to maintain a neutral spine, just finding simple elevation depression in this closed chain. Once again, taking 5 to 7. And then we'll come back to neutral and let that go. Now, we are going to come over to a wall. I'm assuming you have a wall in your house somewhere that hopefully you can use for this. This is kind of elevated PVC pass-throughs, making it a super active mission. You're going to do this one arm at a time. The first few rounds are going to be your adjustment period. You're going to find how far or close you need to be to that wall to feel the work, but also to do it appropriately. So the goal here is to take a nice big shoulder circle without opening the chest. So I want to be able to keep my chest, my pelvis straight forward while maintaining a shoulder circle more or less without touching the wall. And you'll notice back here I kind of hit the wall a little bit, so I'm going to take just a tiny scoot away, give myself a bit more room, and then aim for a nice big shoulder circle. We are going to do about 5 of these one way and then 5 going the opposite way. Once you warm up a bit, you may be able to step a little bit closer, but try to keep that hand just off of the wall as you go around in the circle. That's about 5, probably a few more for me. We're gonna go back around the other way. Same thing, round 2. And as I come this way, I can feel I'm a little more mobile, so I'm gonna scoot just a tiny bit closer, give myself a super big challenge to get that arm all the way around without touching the wall. Take about 1 more. And then we'll switch sides. So we'll flip around. Same thing, round 2. Keeping in mind that this arm might be very different than the opposite arm. That's okay. Work with this arm where it's at. I'm going to try to find about where I was just to give myself a sense. And then we are going to bring the arm around. Once again, these first few are your adjustment period. You want to keep those shoulders straight forward. Keep the rib cage and pelvis stacked. Let's scoot out just a little bit to try to complete that circle without touching the wall to the best of my ability. Aiming for 5 to 7 good ones where you don't touch the wall and you can really feel that rib cage facing forward. Once you hit about 5 to 7 good ones, we will reverse directions, go the opposite way. This way is a little bit easier for me, or I've warmed up, who's to know, so I'm going to move just a little half a step closer to make sure it remains a nice challenge. And I can feel all that activity through the small muscles around my shoulder. Taking about 1 more. And then we'll come back to our mat. We're going to grab for our strap. These next ones are some of my favorite. These are called halo circles because you make a little halo over your head. We're going to take that strap up to a goalpost position. What I want you to focus on here is that those wrists are not broken. Those wrists are nice and locked out. Knuckles above wrist, wrist above elbow. Keeping those wrists nice and straight. Now I'm going to put some tension on the strap. So I'm going to really pull that strap out. If you're looking closely, you can probably see me shaking a little bit just from pulling that strap out. And here comes the tricky part. You're going to attempt to shift that elbow forward while that wrist shifts back. You'll notice it's a tiny, tiny movement. Just a couple degrees of shift forward. I'm keeping my rib cage hugged down, but I'm going to try to maintain that elbow shift forward, and then I'm just going to have a little tug of war, a little back and forth. Shaking is completely normal here, as this is a weird range of motion to be working in. But pull side to side. Once again, try to maintain those elbows forward, wrist back, knuckles above wrists, wrists in line with elbows. If this is relatively easy for you, you can take it into the full circle. Full circle one way, full circle the other way. You don't need many of these. I'm really feeling it right now. You don't need many of these to be done. And we'll take a break, shake it out. Give your arms a slight rest. Whew, it's gonna make me sweat. Take a moment, catch your breath, give yourself a second to let those muscles relax. And then we're gonna take that strap and we're gonna bring it in front of us. These are called matador circles because you get to pretend like you're a matador. Yay, you. Once again, we're stacking the knuckles in line with the wrist, in line with the elbow, this time in line with the shoulder. Nice big pull on that strap, and we once again are going to have a little tug of war back and forth. A little bit of side to side. If this side to side is relatively easy, we will take it into a full circle. Just like a matador holding his ribbon or his scarf, or perhaps like you're churning butter, going one way and then going the next. Trying to, once again, to keep those elbows nice and high, keep the wrists nice and stiff, making your way through a big circle one way and a big circle the other way. We'll take about 2 more each direction. And then we'll be all done with that. Give your arms a chance to kind of relax. Once again, shake it out just a little bit. We're going to come into one more with our strap. These are what I call psychic lat pull downs. It's your way to do a pull-up if you have no place to do a pull-up, as well as to work on that form. for your pull-up. This strap this time is going to come overhead in a nice Y position. So as opposed to that field goal, we're now in a Y. I'm still going to twist those pinkies forward, which should drop my shoulders down my back just a little bit, let those upper traps relax, and then I'm going to rip the strap in two. Now for me, I'm going to pretend to attach a 100-pound weight to this strap, and then I'm going to pull that 100-pound weight down as slowly as possible, letting that strap come behind my head, and then I'm going to push that 100-pound weight straight back up towards the ceiling. Shaking is completely normal. Keep the tension on the strap, keep the pinkies facing forward. We're gonna go one more time, pull that 100-pound weight all the way down, and then push that 100-pound weight all the way back up. 2 is all I'm gonna need today, so I'm gonna let that go. Drop that strap, let your arms take a small break. We've got one more workout for you here. One more movement, and then we're gonna be done for the day. That movement's gonna be with your block or your water bottle. We call this raise the chalice. You're gonna take that block between the hands or the water bottle between the hands. Squeeze the elbows towards one another. Your goal here is to keep those elbows as close together as you can for as long as possible. So elbows squeeze together, and then I'm going to hug my ribs in, brace through the core, and begin to lift my chalice up towards the ceiling while keeping those elbows as close together as possible for as long as possible. Reach, 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 reaching up. At some point they will begin to drift apart and you will kind of lose it, at which point you'll just let it go. Awesome. Great work today. Like I said, prior to this, you're always, or even post this, you can roll out your upper back, roll out your shoulders, give those tissues a little bit of mechanical stimulus, mechanical love. Once again, I'm Kevyn McCandless. You can follow me on Instagram at Move with Kevyn. Thanks for watching. Bye.